Find yourself in the Beachview area of Pittsburgh? Check out the official pizza of this show, Slice on Broadway, sharing an abnormal obsession with pizza we can relate to. Check them out at sliceonbroadway.com and tell them this show sent you.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail dollar set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Beating for the taste of the floor.
Hey guys, it's Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter for the Indy Mayhem show. Eamon, it's episode 75. Holy crap. My co-host Eamon joining me from Corpus Christi, Texas. Myself, I'm in Pittsburgh, PA. How you doing, Eamon?
Good. It's been a lot of episodes, Sorg.
I can't believe that. They keep creeping up on us, too. We got to do something special for the 2-year coming up here. But anyways, I keep missing my anniversary for all the podcasts, so make sure you hold me to that. But anyways, we talk with our weekly interview and kind of indie wrestling discussion series, taking it away from the other show where we're talking about John Cena and whatever crazy crap's happening on TV, and talking about something a little bit that we're involved, at least, kind of transitionally here on the sidelines here with production and such, and kind of hoping to get you guys into supporting indie wrestling and finding out what's going on with the people out there. So please go check us out and the other shows that we're doing at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. You can find links and everything for the podcast feed, video feed, as well as social media at Mayhem Show on the Twitter and all over on the Facebooks and the Google Plus and all kinds of stuff. You can also drop us a line. Let us know who you think we should be talking to, or if you get a line, if we're announcing who we're talking to this week, and ask questions at 412-206-WMS0 for the hotline or the email address goodtimes@WrestlingMayhemShow.com. And of course, like I say, you can join us here live.WrestlingMayhemShow.com about 11 p.m. Eastern Time. You can do the math on the time zones. So with us this week, somebody I've had the pleasure to see a few times over the last year, actually, here in the Western PA area. It's Mary Elizabeth Monroe joining us tonight. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Indie Mayhem show. So first of all, like I say, we're kind of want to show the positive side, I guess, of indie wrestling and showing everybody's really a fan, right? What was kind of your first exposure to pro wrestling in general?
I really was not raised with wrestling for a couple of reasons. When I remember when I was really little, sometimes it would be on TV, like before we would leave for church. And then that was when they had like the Sunday Heat, and it was on just regular TV. And it didn't take long before my mom saw that, and she said we were not allowed to watch that anymore. Okay. And not long after that, it wasn't even available on anything other than cable, and I never had cable. So I was not exposed to it really at all. And then I was working. When I was older, I was a waitress, and I was also singing in a rock band. And I invited the people I worked with to one of our shows, and one of the waiters said, "I will come see your band if you get your band to come see me wrestle." And I said, "Okay, that's whatever. It sounds interesting." So my guitarist and one of my close girlfriends and I all went to see this wrestling show, which happened to be Heartland Wrestling Association, which not long before that had been a developmental territory for the WWE. And this was 15 minutes from where I grew up my whole life, and I didn't even have any idea. I didn't know anything about it. So that was an interesting revelation to realize that had been just right down the road from me. But that first show, I remember watching it and before the show was over, I was telling my friends, I'm going to do this. And I think they didn't really take me that seriously. They were like, yeah, that would be cool, And I just don't know if they really realized that I had made that decision right there. And it took me a few months, I would say, to be able to kind of get the information I needed to kind of find out who to talk to and where to go to get trained. And I finally was able to start training there. And that was where, I first started training and got to do my first wrestling matches. And then, I never stopped. I I couldn't. I can't. I love it. So,
So that's interesting. So what was it about? Was it something about the in person that you got to see an indie show versus just kind of catching it on TV? Obviously, it hadn't been a while since you've seen the TV part, of course. Was it that kind of in person thing?
I don't know if it had anything to do with in person because, like I said, I didn't have any exposure to it.
Mm-hmm.
It very well may have been part of it because my background is definitely athletics, in particular softball. I've played, I've coached, I've always been very active in softball, and I played a number of other sports. But I was also very involved in theater, and I actually went to college for musical theater and also played softball in college. So those were like my two main things. And when I went to see this show, I could see everything that I loved to do all just rolled into one. And in high school in particular, and as well as in college, I had issues with the athletic director and the theater director both wanting 100% of my time. And, they weren't really willing to compromise, which was a really huge problem for me because I didn't want to choose between either of them. I loved both so much. So when I was able to see this independent wrestling show and I could see that there are these characters and they're being competitive and they're athletic, and they're pushing themselves, but they're also interacting with the crowd, with a live audience, which is what I love about live theater. It was just the first time I had found and seen something that appealed to everything that I loved and that I was good at and wanted to do, where I wouldn't have to choose between them.
Excellent. We're showing a little bit of a match I found on YouTube here for the videos people watching. You against Rebel here, and I always let's say I saw you first at VOW's first Queen of the Ring about a year ago, and of course this year's, and even working with you, working cameras over at RWA in the fall, I believe it was, and you're definitely you come out as an unapologetically positive person. It seems coming out to the ring. That definitely struck me. But as I was seeing a little bit in this footage, you get pretty serious in there too. So like, what's kind of how do you come across like who you are in the ring?
I don't know if I understand.
What's kind of your approach to like how much of that is just kind of you in there turned up a bit?
I mean, it is me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a manufactured character. Anybody who knows me knows that I am positive and passionate, but I'm also extremely competitive, in particular with myself. And when I'm in the ring, that's when I go to work. Mm-hmm. And I'm not only competing with my opponent, but I'm competing with myself to do better than last time and to do, the best I can and to push myself, to be able to successfully complete, maneuvers and things that, one time I may have never thought I could do. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's me, it's all me. And sometimes, it's like I love interacting with the crowd. I like interacting with my opponents and everybody involved. And I mean, that's even how I am when I play softball. I'll interact with even the opponents, kind of, joke and everything. But when it's time to go and when it's time for me to make an out or when it's time for me to hit the ball, I'm not playing around. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's me.
You mentioned the interactivity with the fans. You're definitely one of those persons. On the video side, we love when somebody like kind of knows there's a camera there and plays to the camera and looks at it. Like I know you're blowing a kiss to the camera. You're blowing a kiss to the fans. The first night I saw you, you really stuck out because for whatever reason, I think you were maybe second, third match in, and then the crowd was not really into it. That I could tell. And just you came out, and I think I think you weren't a good guy that night, if I recall correctly. And but right away, you got the crowd yelling at you. You were interacting with them. You were blowing that kiss, and you got people. Can you speak a little bit about that and a little bit more? Because I mean, it seems like I don't want to say you were the only one that got that night, but you were definitely one of them that really kind of made that flow a bit more.
I think that you are right that I'm not necessarily the only one that got that, but I'm the only one I think it's safe to say that had to go out there and pull it out of the people. Because part of what was really interesting with that show and that match is that nobody there really knew who I was.
Right.
And not only did they not know who I was, but I got the feeling that a lot of people in that crowd held the opinion that if they hadn't heard of me, that I wasn't any good. So they had already formed an opinion that since I hadn't, been on these big women's shows that they were familiar with, that they weren't interested. So while there were other girls that were able to get that kind of reaction that I did, they didn't have to come out and work for it the way I did. They already had some familiarity. So it was a really interesting position for me, and it was kind of like I said, I'm very competitive, so I was totally like challenge accepted. You want to pretend like what I have to offer, and I knew that they were wrong. So, I went out there and I kind of had that chip on my shoulder, and I was like, all right, you don't know who I am, and you think that means something. Well, I'm here to tell you otherwise. And by the end of that match, as much as they hated me, they loved to hate me, and they really, I think they were saying, please come back, before I was done, and they, kind of, I think I made my point by the time the match was over. And I'm pretty sure I lost the match too, but they were still applauding me as far as giving me that respect, that they realized like, oh, you know what? Okay, this girl actually knows what she's doing and can go.
Certainly. And of course, leading to, again, I was glad I was there to check it out here this past year, winning Queen of the Ring with the Vicious Outcast Wrestling Group down here, just a little bit south of Pittsburgh in the area. So what was that like? I always thought it was interesting. That's why I went to that show last year, and I think that was just the second VOW show I had the opportunity to attend. That in that case, for the most part, being an all-women's show, definitely a big women's showcase for this last year's tournament. Seemingly the only one really given a big chance to women's wrestling in the area for the most part. But how important is it that there is that kind of women's wrestling showcase like VOW is doing?
I think it's important in a way for me and for the other women, not only because it gives us a platform, but it gives us a chance to network with each other. And that is huge, because that's how we get to go work with each other elsewhere. So the fact that we get to all be in the same place, kind of meet each other and watch each other in the ring, that's how we get those opportunities, because there are a lot of places that I think either don't want women's wrestling, or they've been burned before and they've had bad experiences. So they're very kind of hesitant to book a women's match. And if the local woman can say, hey, you know what, I was on a show with this girl, and she really works hard, she this and this and whatever it is that are those positive qualities, and that gives us a chance to be able to kind of feel each other out and vouch for each other. And when I can do that, then that gives me opportunities to work, because if I'm somewhere, a lot of times I'll have promoters say, well, we don't have girls here, or we don't know what girls are in the area. Can you suggest someone? And if I can't come up with someone that I can have a good match with, then I may not get to have a match. But when I can say, I've seen this girl in the ring, and I've not only seen her in the ring, but I've seen her in the locker room, and I know how she conducts herself, then I can feel comfortable and confident recommending certain women. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that I get out of this Vicious Outcast Wrestling situation is that I get in contact with all these women that I otherwise wouldn't ever have gotten to know.
Certainly. I definitely don't see as many women's wrestlers hanging out in the locker room with their boots ready to go just in case somebody doesn't make a show, right? At least that from my perspective. Maybe I'm wrong there from shows that you're on. But yeah, it's certainly really good to see that. So from there, I didn't realize that you had a Tough Enough video out. I just came across, actually. Can you talk a little bit about that? Did you? As we're recording this, of course, Tough Enough season just began tonight. I haven't had an opportunity since we've been recording all night. Of course, talked about on Wrestling Mayhem show this week. Did you get a chance to watch the show, or maybe anything else, or any part of the process that you'd like to share from that? Maybe how was your competition? If you've seen a lot of the other videos.
I have not seen a lot of the other videos. I did look up a few online. There was such a wide variety. There were some that were very compelling and really interesting, and there were some that were not. And good for anybody who went for it. But I'd be lying if I said that there weren't some that just needed some work, but we all start somewhere. So I have not really seen, other than clips here and there on like people post little clips on Twitter and things. I've seen a little bit of that, partly just because I've been following a couple of my friends that were in the top 30. I think both of them were in the top 30. But I do not have cable or internet, so all of my internet is on my phone. But I did not necessarily plan on submitting an application. And at the last minute, I thought, you know what, if I don't do this, then, I can't say that I really tried everything. And that would be my fault. And, it still was my fault that I did submit my video at the very last minute, because at that point, even though I know, had they been totally wowed, I think, anything before the deadline would have been an option. I know that a lot of the interview process and follow-ups as far as the production went had already been taking place for a while. So, that's kind of lesson learned there, is that I need to just go for it when there's an opportunity. And usually I do, and there are a lot of things where I do that, but that was one that I hesitated. So, who knows if they would have selected me or not, but I definitely did cut down my chances by doing that. So
maybe season, what are we up to? 6, 5, something like that. Maybe season insert number here. So
right.
I hope it's not another 4 years or whatever it was between seasons as well. So
yeah.
But anyways, so I want to ask a couple. We have a few questions here. Kind of get to know you questions here on the way out. You as a wrestler, of course, not anything weird personal, unless it gets that way. I don't know. But first of all, and this might be a weird one for you to answer because you just you don't have cable, you don't have internet. But we like to ask, and we're kind of curious, what are you watching as far as wrestling, whether for your own entertainment, for studying, for just being part of the business, or what's kind of got your attention right now?
Oh my goodness. I definitely try to watch, as much of the kind of Ring of Honor product that I can. If I hear like, hey, so-and-so had a really good match on NXT or Raw, I'll go look those up. Right now I've got a stack of DVDs that I have been and will be watching. I've got the Ricky Steamboat set. I've got the Nigel McGuinness set. I've got an NWA DVD here. WCW, Chris Jericho. I've got a Delirious from
Nice.
Ring of Honor set. So I'm, kind of try to watch a variety of, some really good wrestlers. And I also like to try to watch, and part of this is because my trainer is able to pick out some really good matches because I'm training with Les Thatcher. So we were watching an old Pat O'Connor match, and he can pick out some really great matches that I can learn a lot from. So I've watched some of those. We'll find them on YouTube and things, and then I did just recently watch a couple of the DVD sets from the AIW Girls Night Out shows in Cleveland.
Cool.
I have the 3 sets from the shows that I performed on. So I was actually on the first Girls Night Out, and I watched that match, and oh my gosh, I have come a long way. So I can pat myself on the back, but watching that was just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even believe that was, acceptable, I guess. I was still learning, and but it's just, I guess you don't realize how far you've come until you look back on something like that. So just some of the things that just didn't make sense to me, or I wasn't executing moves as well as I do now. It's no secret. I know a lot of people, anyone that's either followed me or has, even just now discovered me and looked up anything from my past, can see that I have worked very, very hard on my physique. And I've come a very long way. And sometimes I get frustrated, and I don't think that, whether it's my physique and fitness, or it's my in-ring performance, or, my promo abilities, any of that, I don't feel like I'm getting the results or the progress that I want. But when I can look back on something, then I can really see, like, wow, I've made some great strides. So, and I'm still going. I'm always, like I said, I'm training with Les Thatcher 3 times a week. And I've got a lot of other really great mentors, as resources that I either, work with, or can just, talk with, or send, matches and promos and things. So, I'm always working on improving.
Awesome. Now, this is kind of a double-ended question here. You can take this however you want. We've heard a lot of varieties of answers. Some people get on their soapbox on this one. What is the best and the worst thing about working in indie wrestling so far in your career?
One answer kind of answers both. I have met some of the best people in my life through wrestling, and I have met the absolute worst people. And everybody I've met through wrestling really are people that I never would have crossed paths with had it not been for wrestling. So it definitely brings together just a cross section of all kinds of different people from different backgrounds. And that is really, I think, amazing and wonderful. And I've seen it do just amazing things for a lot of people. I have one friend who, he has himself said that he was really unhappy and just with his life and his job and everything. And he kind of discovered indie wrestling. And I feel like I think he's just really come out of his shell. He's made a lot of friends, by just coming to shows and meeting people and getting to kind of, maybe be more comfortable in his own skin. I don't know, but, that's somebody that I never would have ever come into contact with had it not been for wrestling. So that kind of, in a way, answers both. but another amazing thing about wrestling is it's an opportunity for me to really push myself and, like I said, be really competitive with myself. But by doing that, I have been able to inspire other people, and that is something that's really important to me. And one of the biggest compliments I ever get is, when somebody says that I inspired them to do something, to do better for themselves and for their lives. So, I mean, there are definitely some really amazing positive things about wrestling. And I guess I would just go with the negative is that while there are amazing people in wrestling, just like in any part of life, you meet some really awful people too. So you just have to always be aware and surround yourself with those really great people, and not let the negative people drag you down, because that's I've seen people get just kind of dragged in and pulled into a lot of negativity to the point where some people have allowed it to affect their entire lives, and I've seen some people that turned it around and some people that didn't. So there's definitely two extremes, I guess.
And it's such a shame too, because it really, like, in the long run, like, this is supposed to be a fun thing, right? And I feel like
and I think overall it is.
Yeah.
And I think that the negativity and the negative people really are the minority. And part of that is because they can't really survive, because the people that are working hard and are positive just they get to a point where they aren't going to put up with it, and they don't allow it. And I know myself in particular, there are certain people that I just won't work with them because they just are so negative and bad influence, and they treat people badly, and I just won't be associated with them. So, if enough people who are, really talented and, people that I guess are, would be a positive asset to a show, I guess, if enough of those people, start to, kind of make those kinds of decisions, and they value themselves more than to be on a show that is going to perpetuate that negativity, then those people, either certain people will get removed, or the company or the group as a whole isn't really going to get a chance to grow if not totally kind of get dispersed, I guess.
All right, I got one more question, kind of off the script a little bit, but I did notice you were trained by Jimmy Yang. Is that correct?
He was one of my trainers.
Okay.
Was that the question? Or
No. That's the lead-in. That's the lead-in, because I keep hearing about this from our friend Joe Dabrowski every time I go to a wrestling show with him. But are you aware and have you seen or experienced the Jimmy Wang Yang's redneck party bus that I hear so much about? I
am, and there's also a princess bus.
Okay, that was the next question. Because this is legendary, and I'm trying to figure out a way. Actually, I think there might be an opportunity for me to go to Cincinnati and experience this.
Yeah.
Please, I don't think we talked about this on the show. Can you tell us about the party bus?
I mean, I haven't partied on the party bus myself. But I've seen it, and I know that, I know Jimmy, and he's a fun dude. So, if you can be in a camouflage bus with, duct tape letters on the side driven by the Korean cowboys, and that sounds like a party to me, right?
As if like his WWE career, as everybody knows, it wasn't crazy enough. There's this.
Right.
That's amazing. This is one of those.
And I think it's awesome, because it really is something that, he realized that was something that there was a need for it, and he's been doing great with it, and that something that that fits his personality and his lifestyle. So he can kind of schedule his life the way he wants to. So, I mean, I think it's awesome. And it's, being able to do something that has that kind of longevity, is when a lot of people kind of maybe take a different turn in their career and then they don't know what to do. But he's really found a niche and is growing. So it's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thank you for indulging me for that one. Mary Elizabeth Monroe. She's all over the place. We got a couple her matches over at PittsburghWrestling.com with Vicious Outcast Wrestling and the Renegade Wrestling Alliance. Some real good stuff over there. Tell me, where are you on social media? People want to learn more about you, find out when you're coming up. If you want to plug a couple shows, of course, AIW Wrestling. You're up there as well. Please go check out their DVs, friends of the show, and such as well. But the floor to you. Where can people find you out there?
Okay, so my Twitter is at WrestlerMEM, and that is also my Instagram. And then I have 2 places you can find me on Facebook because I have, I think, reached the maximum friends I can have on my main page.
You're in that club.
So I've got a lot of friends and followers on there. That one is Facebook.com/Wrestler Mary Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. And then the fan page would be /Wrestler MEM. So if you can remember Wrestler MEM, you'll be able to find me all over the place. And I try to keep everything kind of up to date. I'm still getting used to having the fan page. So, but my other profile is public, so anybody can follow it and still see, anything that I post. So I try to, as I get posters or get dates for shows and everything, get that up there. I'm trying to think. Okay, so July 7th actually is a really cool show that I'm excited about. You were talking about the benefits of kind of what VOW is doing for women's wrestling. July 7th, in a different area, I'll be down in New Albany, Indiana, which is near Louisville, Kentucky, if people are more familiar with that area, for Strictly Insane Pro Wrestling. And we do a girl fight show that is a women's roster. And we're going to have, I'm going to be facing Miss Dyslexia,
nice, which
I am so excited for. We've got, I think, Leva Bates, Mary Dobson, Lufisto, Darcy Dixon, Samantha Heights, Heather Owens. I think that might be everybody, but it's a really, really cool show and a really great locker room. And, another opportunity for all of us women to, work together and, keep networking and everything. And then for people that are in the Indiana, Illinois kind of area, I will be in Fort Wayne, Indiana, July 25th for Heroes and Legends. Actually, that weekend is going to be a big weekend for me because July 23rd at 11:59 p.m., I will be working for Juggalo Championship Wrestling at the Gathering in Thornville, Ohio.
Nice.
And that will be my first gathering. I've worked for JCW last, I think, December, but this will be my first gathering.
Are you ready to wrestle at about 3 a.m?
Yeah, I'm going to be like, can I go first? Because then on the 24th, the following day, I will be working for. I'll be doing a show in Louisville, Kentucky, with Ohio Valley Wrestling, and then July 25th, the Saturday, is when I will be in Fort Wayne, Indiana for Heroes and Legends. And they're doing their Fan Fest and show. So I'm actually going to have to leave Cincinnati at like 7 or 8 a.m. to get out there. Yeah, so that's going to be an exhausting but fun weekend.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I'll definitely I think August 8th, I will be at NWA Smoky, and then August 14th, I will be back up at Absolute Intense Wrestling in Cleveland for their Battle of the Sexes show. So that's going to be awesome. It'll be an opportunity, still to work with a lot of the other women, but to get a crack at the men and kind of show them what the women have to offer.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise coming out of last year's show. I understand a lot of
Yes.
interesting documentaries and such. So,
yeah. So I mean, that's going to be really awesome. I'm very excited to be a part of that. I've been fortunate this year. There are a few things that I've become aware of and seen things and said, oh my gosh, I would love to be a part of that. And then I get contacted and I do get to be a part of it. So that's one of them. Another one was Old Wrestling, which is also in the Cleveland area,
nice.
where I had seen kind of some information about the kinds of shows they were putting on. And I thought, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I want to be a part of it. And then I got contacted and I was able to work for them recently. So
I believe you got to be the bearded lady on that show as well. So
I was.
Okay, I missed the question because I was going to ask if you were going to grow a creepy mustache like Gregory Iron and Zach Gowen did for the show. But there you go. I guess so. I'm like,
I like to be different, so no mustache.
Awesome.
That's what makes me different.
That's what makes
no mustache.
That's what makes it less creepy than how they were looking on that one. I was just like.
Right, yeah. It was like, I, for one, was pretty impressed with how good I looked with the beard. I mean, I thought I pulled it off. I was like, actually, this kind of, all right.
Amazing.
Doesn't look bad.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sticking around with us on the Indie Mayhem show tonight, Mary. I look forward to seeing you again in the area somewhere. Hope you survive the gathering, etc.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be back because I'm not going to pull the shenanigans like last year where, somebody won the crown and then never came back to cash it in. I'm going to come back, I'm going to cash it in, and I'm going to win the title.
That's right.
So you'll get your chance to see me, I guarantee.
Keep an eye out on Vicious Outcast Wrestling on the social medias and ViciousOutcastWrestling.com. Find out when she's coming back, or will it be a surprise?
Yeah.
Will you with Seth Rollins this thing?
I don't know.
You never know. She could pop up any show.
I'm coming for that belt.
You're just
I don't care who's wearing it. I'm coming.
There you go. You're just gonna have to go to all of their shows if you're in the area or travel. Get your butt in the car.
Exactly.
Just in case.
I could just turn up anytime.
That's right. And
don't leave early. Don't leave the shows early either, because you never know.
Well, leaves early. You paid the money. Go see all the wrestling show. Anyways.
I know. Get there early and stay late, and don't miss anything.
Beating traffic is not an excuse for an indie wrestling show.
No, and you know what? They have bathrooms. They have hot dogs. There's really no reason you ever have to leave.
They got arcade games.
They have everything you need.
Exactly. She could be hiding behind a Terminator machine. You don't know. You have no idea.
I know. You know what? People should just start bringing their sleeping bags to the shows. I mean,
make it happen. Make it happen.
Don't miss a second.
All right. Thanks so much. Now, Eamon, we're going to talk about, strangely, some more indie wrestling.
That's right, Sork. It's time to go into some of the stuff that happened in indie wrestling this week, particularly for some of us, more particularly me. I don't know why I got on that tangent. Inspire Pro Wrestling happened this past weekend. I kind of want to mention some of that because I know it sparked some discussion with the Mayhem Show guys.
Explain again. So Clash of the Bash, it's kind of, you guys have fun at this show.
This is our show where we kind of go all out as far as like ridiculousness. It's a summer show, so it's definitely our last time we did Clash of the Bash. It was very much beach themed. There were beach balls, which we kind of gave to the crowd almost like streamers, which probably wasn't a great idea, but it was still fun anyways.
Well, you experiment. That's fine.
That's true. That was the birth of the captain's hat as well, which
with the greatest picture, which has been your profile picture for the last year, and it's amazing. It's so you.
It is a great photo. The point when new wrestlers come into Inspire Pro and then I introduce myself to them and they say, "Oh, the guy in the captain's hat," like that's kind of scary. I don't know if I like that, but no. This one we took a bit more of a Greek toga-ish. We called it wrestling's biggest toga party.
Risque. Wait a minute. So you put yourselves in direct competition with WrestleMania 9?
We did. At least I would say of the last decade, the greatest wrestling toga party.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll go with that then. No, it was fun. Thank you to everyone that and not everyone did, because it's very hard to encourage people and say, "Hey, come in a toga." We very much had to be like, you can just pretty much wear a sheet over it and call it a toga, and you'll be okay. But no, I went all out for the most part. Going as I don't know if Sorry bring up the picture, but
I was waiting for tactfully. Okay,
yeah, tactfully. I went all out.
There it is. There it is. Look at that. If you're on video, this is why you need to be on video.
Wait, this is why you need to be at Inspire Pro Wrestling, because you get the chance to see my shoulder blades and unexposed arms. Apparently,
you've been working out in the last year. Look at that.
I need to learn how to tie a toga. Actually, no, someone else tied my toga, and they did a better job than I would have ever done. But that was the most interesting thing, because it's pretty much like it's like those, that old saying about like how you imagine you dream about, you're giving a speech in front of, hundreds of people, whatever, and you're actually naked. Like that was the feeling, kind of, but in real life. Note to everyone watching this, I was wearing something underneath on my lower end, but so worried about having the falling out, I guess is the best way to put it.
Falling out. Maybe we should have that discussion about double-sided tape with Mary on earlier, huh?
Yeah, it's a very loose sheet, so things can happen. But no, it was fun. Like I said, it's something that we get to try, and be a little bit different. It was much harder when I was commentating with friend of the show, Keith Lee, and he came out in a full, suit, completely dressed out. If you've never seen Keith Lee before, it's just, full of swagger, the coolest fucking dude you'll ever find. And I'm wearing, a bed sheet. It was the weirdest contrast. But no, it was a really fun show, all that aside. There was some really great wrestling on that show. Really, really fun stuff happened. We had a great crowd as well. We kind of competed with Father's Day, which I know is kind of a big thing. But I know some people brought their dads to the show, which I think is really good.
That's cool.
It was a fun show, as always. Inspire Pro Sundays are always really fun. And yeah, there was a lot of great stuff. The next event that we are having is August 9th, and that'll be our Fade to Black event. That should be a really fun one. We already know that Andy Dalton will be defending the Inspire Pro Championship against Absolute Ricky Starks, and that's sure to be a spectacular one. So there's some good stuff coming down the pipeline for Inspire Pro Wrestling, so be sure to check us out.
Awesome. I have nothing else to talk. I just wanted to talk about
There's nothing to say.
You got this, and there's just nothing more to say to this. Apparently, some good wrestling happened as well, right?
Some all good wrestling happened in any wrestling world. There was Ring of Honor did stuff. I know you guys kind of talked about it on the main show.
Yeah, we did. We had a pretty extensive kind of look at Ring of Honor. They're growing into the mainstream for us, I think, for the most part here. It is so interesting to see, we talked about kind of the fake friends of the show that were mentioned on this. You have to check out Gold for that. But it was still, apparently Ray Rowe, Dalton Castle, a bunch of other guys making some really good headway on there as well. But generally, a lot of stuff coming up. A lot of I don't know. July's weird for me on this end, at least. But definitely a lot going on around there. I don't have much else for you. Oddly, did you know, let me tell you about a discovery, and I need to look more into this and see what it takes to get our stuff maybe on this. There's an independent wrestling network on Roku.
Is there really?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's nobody big, but oddly, some area people like PWX is in the area. That's actually who I heard about it from, was supposed to PWX. Black Diamond Wrestling, who we've talked about for a while. Actually, we talked about a bit here. They're doing a lot of interesting media, getting stuff out there. And I watched a few different things from a few different promotions. And I will say, there seems to be sometimes issues where maybe because just people are doing this, and you'll. That reminds me, there's a thing I forgot to do today. There's certain formats. I forgot a couple things today. There's certain formats that work best for streaming and everything like that. It looked like maybe they weren't set correctly for whatever reason. But generally, I mean, it's an interesting way to do that. And you got to think, if somebody's looking up WWE Network, maybe they'll find your wrestling channel as well. And I installed a few of them, but I didn't get a chance to look at them. There's actually a couple of, I don't know if they're wrestling feds, whatever they were, but I installed like 3 or 4 wrestling channels that look like indie kind of wrestling kind of situations. So so if you have a Roku, give a shot at that. If you have something else, I'm probably take a look at like my Amazon Prime stick or something like that, see if there might be some stuff on there as well. So another source for indie wrestling, especially if you have a Roku device. And I have the Roku, like the original Roku that doesn't even get WWE Network because it's too new, basically. And it worked on there. So pretty wide on that. If you have one of those lying around, dust it off, watch some indie wrestling on your TV. So I don't know. That was a cool discovery for me this week.
Awesome.
I guess on that note, again, thank you very much, Mary Elizabeth Monroe, for coming on here. Great interview. Had a lot of fun. I got to tell you, if you're a Patreon supporter of the Wrestling Mayhem Show, we have something very special for you going on there. What did we call it? The name drop special?
Yeah, it's our name drop special, name drop spectacular, whatever you want to call it. Basically, me and Sorg just going off about people.
We've had a lot of not going off on people. There's no dirt in there necessarily, but we've had a lot of weird experiences with people in indie wrestling, and I don't feel comfortable talking about it on here, kind of more publicly, because it just seems like they're just weird stories, like, yeah, I had this experience with this person, or you're like, getting Chipotle with so-and-so, that would be an interesting story just by itself, or as everybody will find out.
I was going to say, you want to know who I ate Chipotle with? That means you got to subscribe to Patreon.
There you go. Or as everybody will find out in about a month, the results of me being at Virgil's house. There you go. I gotta start editing that. Oh, I got so much to do that I forgot. Oh, no. Anyways, hi. You out there watching, sorry I didn't get you that thing today. You know who you are. Anyways, damn it. And WrestlingMayhemShow.com. Support indie wrestling, support podcasts, support independent podcasts, support indie podcasts about wrestling. Sure.
Support wrestling.
There you go. Just support all the things you love. Don't steal. There's somebody talking about like stealing TV and movies like in the middle of a coffee shop blatantly, and I was just so sad. I was so very sad. I'm like, you have no shame. But anyways, on that note, please subscribe to us on Wrestling Mayhem Show, all the audio and video feeds, on the social medias. You know where it's at. You can join us here live in whatever mental state I might be after 5 hours of podcasting already at live.wrestlingmayhemshow.com about 11 p.m. Eastern Time. ProWrestlingTees.com/WMS, Patreon.com/WrestlingMayhemShow if you want to support the show there. A little bit helps. And that's it. Eamon, Inspire Pro Wrestling. Go check that out too. Check out our friends have shows coming up with RWALive.com, IWCWrestling.com, Vicious Outcast Wrestling.com, and so many other things coming down the line. I can't wait. Can't wait. So much good stuff in wrestling and outside. I can't wait to tell all you guys about. So, with that, Eamon, at Eamon2, please, at Sorgatron. Support indie wrestling.
Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Beating for the taste of the floor. Sick, you know how I act now. If you got a problem, come and see if I'm a back down. Act wild.
Joe is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.
Hi everyone. Do you like video games? Do you like reading about video games? Do you like listening to podcasts about video games? Why don't you check out InsertCoinToBegin.com? New articles going up daily, and you can check out our podcast, Boss Battle, on SorgatronMedia.com.